Hi, welcome to Drunk Doctor Who. Is this episode 5?
Episode 5.
Alright, thank you for joining us again. From a short hiatus, we had a few interruptions in which we filmed the history of the companions. I saw that.
Well, part 1.
Part 1?
Yeah, the camcorder ran out on me. Apparently, there's a lot of companions, and the full length of time the camcorder can go is 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's the battery length. It shuts off. There's a lot of companions. I should have split it between 20th century and 21st century Doctor Who, but I did not. It cut off during David Tennant, and I will get back to that at some point. But anyway, due to personal reasons, we didn't film an episode of this last week. I did that instead because I was bored. But yeah.
Sorry about that.
No. Dude, your father was in the hospital with a stroke, right?
Yeah, but he's okay. He's okay.
Good.
Thank you for you.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, your father's more important than this.
No, not a stroke. He just had some heart complications. We thought it was a heart attack, but it's okay. His heart was all through them, and he got a pacemaker, so he's okay.
My dad had a pacemaker.
That's awesome. I highly recommend it. It regulates heart.
Yeah.
It really helps blood pressure. He's not so tired all the time because of the heart rhythm.
How old's your dad?
He's 73 now?
Yeah, see, my dad got a pacemaker about that, and then he passed away at 79.
See, it's good because they have the Medicare at that time. Medicare, and because there's like 70-80% of the costs.
Medicare, Medicaid's bad.
Yeah, that's
okay. No.
I mean, I'm paid. It's good because the elderly they're not employed, they're retired, so Medicare takes care of the health insurance. It makes a more affordable option for those who are retired because they're no longer working, and usually when you're working, they have the workplace that covers the majority of your health insurance.
True.
So once you're retired, you don't have the workplace.
We're trying not to get political, but there was a study that people that had private health insurance, people with no health insurance, and people with Medicare, Medicaid, the best off were the people with private health insurance.
Right.
The people with no health insurance were second. People with Medicare and Medicaid did worse than the people with no health insurance at all.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't recommend no health insurance because that's cheaper for the individual.
Yeah.
Because you set up a monthly plan, and that's way cheaper than individual health insurance.
This is Doctor Who. I swear this is Doctor Who. All right. But
it's really expensive. Because my workplace, they're like, we're supposed to provide health insurance, but that's too expensive for us, so we're not. We're just not gonna do that. Anyway, sorry.
No problem. Well, okay, we've been drinking wine this evening because it's a 6-parter. He's probably gonna always be drinking wine, maybe a little bit of rum or vodka.
Pacing. Next episode is only 4 episodes? 3?
Yeah, next serial is the Aztecs. Wait, I think it's the Aztecs. 4 episodes, so he'll still be drinking wine. He's a lightweight. I'll be drinking vodka. You'll get me some Russian standard, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll pay for it. Yeah, get Russian standard.
Doc's liquor, Russian standard.
Standard vodka. So if it's 5 episodes or less, I'll be drinking spirits. 6 episodes or more wine, because you get trashed on spirits in 6 episodes or more.
As we've experienced in the first episode.
But we do have the bucket. It says Saints.
In case of emergency.
Right.
Great team.
But it's the Moffat bucket, because Moffat sucks, and this is what we do to Moffat. We puke on him, because that's how bad the showrunner Moffat is. Okay, someday we'll get to Moffat, and you will need this. Not from the alcohol, but from the stories.
We don't like Moffat.
Moffat is a showrunner sucks. His first series, Series 5, is actually pretty good, and he has occasional episodes that are good in other series. But most of all, it sucks balls. All right. Okay. Anyway, so this is the Keys of Marinus. It is the 5th serial in our episode number 5. We finally got past the very beginnings of Doctor Who, and we're getting into different stories and different shows. And this story is unique. Well, mostly unique. The fact that it has several different vignettes inside the main story, and there's 6 episodes. The first one, they find out they need to find the keys, and there's 4 keys. They find a key in the second, find a key in the third, find a key in the fourth, find a key in the fifth. The 6th one, they put them together, and it's very, very. What's the word?
Cumulative.
No, not cumulative.
Cumulative.
Yeah, no, it's very prognostication. It prognosticates the key of time in the Fourth Doctor's fourth series, I believe series 15, 12, 13, 14, yeah. Series 15, season. The Fourth Doctor's fourth season, which is season 15, the key of time, in which he is sent out to go look for 6 pieces of the key of time. And this is very much a forerunner to that. And they go and they find the 6 pieces of the key of time. And this one they only have to find 4 pieces. And this one, thanks to that, feels like it could have been so much bigger because each episode does so much. Each episode could have been 2 or 3 episodes to fully flesh out the story. It's very much more story than they had time, which is usually the reverse of Doctor Who. But anyway, so we have companions still Ian, Susan, and Barbara, and it ran from 4/11/64 to 5/16/64. There you go. And the antagonist, Zorg. What are they called?
No, hold on. We have the antagonists were the Voords. Voords. And they were in contrast to Arbitan and his companions. Arbitan had his daughter Sabitha, whose lover was Atlas, and the
Altos.
Sorry. Altos. And the antagonists were the Voords, the race. The Voords, and they were led by Yartek. Yartek ended up assassinating Arbitan, and he put on his robes. That's really much the very last episode of the serial.
But each episode is different than the others.
Right, because story-wise, they had all these different episodes, and they're fanning out, different stories of the different locations in which the keys were held. And production-wise, that's because they had this expanded budget because the successful show. They had the success of the show. The Daleks really launched Doctor Who into this really standalone show, and the success of that gave them the expanded budget. And with Marco Polo, they had this expanded budget to increase the monetary production of costumes and sets, and because of that, they were able to explore these vignette type episodes where they each episode they explored and expanded upon these different sets. In every single episode, they traveled to different locations, and they had the budget to do that, and the costumes.
Right. And Ian Chesterton is still wearing the same outfit he wore in Marco Polo. Right, the rest changed into other outfits, but Chesterton is still wearing the same outfit he wore in Marco Polo, and it looks gorgeous. I love that outfit.
Now, the Keys of Marinus?
Marinus.
Yeah, the Keys of Marinus. The writer for the serial was...
Terry Nation.
Yeah, the same guy that wrote the Daleks.
Right. The only Doctor Who writer that became rich off the Doctor Who.
That's true.
Because he created the Daleks and he owned part of the Daleks.
He owned part of it.
And the same way Stan Lee created Spider-Man.
And he
got rich off of that. Right.
Yeah.
Right, so Terry Nation owned rights to the Daleks.
Now they have several writers that come back and return. I love this culture of you go and watch The Office and everything, and they have these writers and these guest writers, and you watch The Simpsons, and they have guest writers for different episodes.
I love The Simpsons. I can't stand The Office. The Office sucks.
No, I enjoy it.
It's awkwardness for the sake of awkwardness, and I don't get that sense of humor.
It's a type of humor, but The Office...
It's a millennial humor.
They also...
I don't... I'm too old. You get it, right?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It made me cringe, but at the same time, it's funny.
No, but see, I don't get that. I love The Simpsons, though. Love The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, in the same way, they had writers and guest writers and return writers, and the same thing with Doctor Who. They have writers and return writers, and they have different writers for different serials. And they had, this guy who wrote, the Keys of Marinus. He wrote this serial. He also wrote the Daleks. I was wondering, who's your favorite writer for the Daleks? Your favorite return writer
for Doctor Who?
I'm sorry, the Doctor Who. Who's your favorite writer?
Wow.
There's several different ones. They have return writers and guest writers for all these different series.
It would either be Terry Nation, who wrote several of the amazing classic serials.
He's the guy that wrote the Daleks and the Keys of Marinus.
Marinus, right? Mm-hmm. He writes the Dalek Invasion of Earth and several others.
Yeah, the return.
Douglas Adams, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but he also did The City of Death. Okay, he did 3 classic Doctor Who serials, 2 of which were made, one which was not finished, but which is now being finished by animation with the original voice actors.
Is that canon or just,
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, Shada. It's called Shada. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was a serial that was halfway filmed and then shut down by a strike. Camera.
The writer's strike or the camera strike? The strike.
Right. The people who do the behind the scenes work, the cameraman, the lighting man, the electricians, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so it was shut down. So half of it's filmed, half of it wasn't. Mm-hmm. In the 80s or 90s, they came out. This is the 4th Doctor. In the 80s or 90s, they came out with a version of it on VHS, where Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor, narrates the bits that were never filmed. But now they have released a version where they have the bits that were filmed, and the bits that weren't filmed are filmed in with animation.
Do you own that, or?
Well, it's been released in the UK, the United Kingdom. Hasn't been released in the US. It'll be released in the US in September. In September, I will own it for my birthday. That'll be my birthday present to myself. But
so we'll have that.
Right. And the cool news is my main Doctor Who watching group will not be to that point before it's released. So we'll get to watch it in sequence, once it's released.
Will be unique, yeah.
Right, and Shada is awesome. They used snippets of what was filmed but not released for the 5 Doctors, the 20th anniversary episode. But anyway, so Terry Nation, Douglas Adams. Oh, you need the bucket?
Drank too much wine.
Okay, Douglas Adams or Moffat. Moffat is he's a horrible showrunner, but he's a good show writer, and he wrote things like Blink, and Blink is absolutely amazing, and he wrote several other good modern serials. Really, you haven't done this since the first, 4 episodes ago, not that much. For wine, no vodka. Anyway, so it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. It needs a better tolerance. Anyway, but the question was my favorite story writers. I'll go with Terry Nation, Douglas Adams, and Moffat as a writer, not as a showrunner, because he's using the Moffat bucket, and that's Moffat as a showrunner. Moffat sucks. Anyway, there you go.
Moffat sucks.
Yes. Oh, good to know you're on board in the bucket.
It's ingenue. It's like, have you seen Rain Man?
Yeah.
He's like, Target sucks, and then Rain Man's so inspired with Target sucks. That's me. I just accept your opinion. Moffat sucks. I have no opinion of it, but
you'll see eventually. Okay. We're way up there. The 3rd DVD set, the one that's missing, because in the beginning you see the first 3 serials, and then Marco Polo 4th. This is the 5th. My main Doctor Who watching group is right here where the DVDs are missing, because my wife and I are catching up to the main group, but we're just about to get to the Key of Time, actually. We're in season 14, close to season 15. So it'll mirror the Keys of Marinus. Oh my gosh, we have so many amazing series too.
Sorry. Drank way too much wine.
That's okay. Next week,
testing my
4 episodes.
We'll do some shots.
Okay. No, I'm doing shots. I don't know about you doing shots.
I'll probably be okay on wine. 1 glass per episode's enough to get me
there. Apparently.
Hey, you
I'm
got
such
your
a
wine
glass. Okay. This is about 4 wine glasses, which is good for me, too much for him.
I've had about 5 wine glasses.
Well, yeah, but I've had this is my 3rd. You know?
What do we call it? Sabuin.
Paisano. Paisano.
Paisano.
Carlo Rossi Paisano. It's a good one. It tastes like grape juice. Exactly.
Okay.
I took 2 years of Italian in college.
That's awesome. I just want to go to Italy for the food, the bread, the cheese.
See the Vatican?
The Vatican, beautiful.
The Vatican, Venice, yeah, Milan. Milan's overrated, but go to Venice and go to Rome. Seriously, it's just gorgeous.
And so we covered your favorite writer, return writer. I wanted to talk about the inaccuracy of the TARDIS. Now, the Doctor and his companions keep using the TARDIS to escape situations once they in every story they resolve the conflict and they return to the TARDIS and they use the TARDIS to travel to the next location, and that next location every time it seems to have its own complications, and the original companions, Ian and Chesterton, are just trying to find their way home.
Well, Ian Chesterton.
I'm sorry, Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright are just trying to find their way home to England, and the Doctor and Barbara seem to be incapable of finding their way back to England. It's because the TARDIS has this inaccuracy and it keeps teleporting them to these different times and locations.
Right,
and
the
Doctor,
is off.
yeah, the Doctor said the fault in the time mechanism was the fault, and you know, what's with that? Is that just another circuit? Like we went over the chameleon circuit, which helps the TARDIS is supposed to transform into something that disguises it to appropriate to the place they locate, right. And then they have the translation circuit, which helps them all understand each other. Now we have the time mechanism, which is supposed to let them accurately travel through time and space.
Right, but it's broken.
It's broken, so now they're just going willy-nilly everywhere.
Right, in the early days, the TARDIS is very dysfunctional. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to, and they get stuck in different eras and different places, and they want to,
Yeah,
and
it certainly drives the story and the conflict. Sorry about that.
No, it is what it is. That's why we have a Moffat bucket. Moffat sucks. Moffat sucks. Okay, Moffat has an episode where the moon is an egg, and the moon hatches, and a creature comes out, and parthenogenically immediately lays another egg. Parthenogenic.
And that new egg's the new moon.
Parthenogenesis is virgin birth. Birth without, being inseminated. It's virgin birth.
Asexual reproduction.
Right. So parthenogenically lays another egg, which is the exact same size as the previous moon. Looks just like the previous moon. It's pure crap. Moffat, most of his stories are pure crap. Anyway, wait, where were we?
We're talking about the time mechanism.
Oh, the time mechanism is totally off. Yeah. But the Doctor gets in the Keys of Marinus. Like I said, there's 6 parts, and they go to each of. Oh, I was gonna tell you why the Doctor splits off from the main group.
Yeah, they keep splitting the groups, which seems to be, counterproductive when they all get captured.
But it was a way when they had 44 episodes a season, right? And they would work 44 weeks of the year out of 52. It was a way for the Doctor, William Hartnell, who was older especially, to get time off. He would take a 2-week vacation, and they would come back and meet up with. He'd come back and meet up with them.
They had the Screaming Jungle, which was just Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright, and that's just the 2 filming.
Well, and Susan.
And Susan, she showed up in the Sorrows of Terror.
No, she was in
the Snows of Terror.
Jungle. Remember?
Yeah. But the Doctor would, they traveled ahead.
He was gone, so he could take a vacation because
he was much older and needed time.
Well, yeah. I mean, a 42, 43 week a year shooting schedule is arduous. But especially for someone as old as the Doctor or William Hartnell. So he had a couple weeks off, and they did their thing, and then he came back,
Yeah.
Had a vacation.
So that explains, why they kept splitting the groups, which seems story-wise it creates conflict, but production-wise it let members of the cast have time off.
Exactly. So they do that later on in several other serials, but especially the what is it? The I've got this. Hold on. Especially in the Reign of Terror, and in Reign of Terror is a good one. I like the Reign of Terror. This was good. There you go. And then Dalek's Master Plan, and the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. Long title, but good serial, where the Doctor plays a version of himself. Anyway, so what else do you have?
Snakes, you reminded me to ask about the Congress,
Yes. Okay.
You travel to this place, Morphos, and this race of the Morphins, and that's the second episode, the Velvet Web.
Second or third?
Yeah. The Congress.
Right. They see things that aren't there. They see a reality that does not exist. And it's very relatable to the movie The Congress, if you've not seen it, which is, people take a particular drug from an ampule. Do you know what an ampule is?
Sort of like a vial?
Yes, very much like a vial. An ampule is a vial. You break the top, it's easily breakable top, and you sniff or you inject or drink the drug. That's an ampule. But and they do that from the vial, and they see a completely different reality than what is there. And in that reality, the drugs that create that reality are in the water, in the food, and everything. So they can also see that reality. And it takes a special drug to get you out of that reality. What you see is amazing and glorious and glamorous. What is actually there is horrible and run down and bad and pathetic. And that's the way it was in that episode. What they saw was phenomenal, and what actually existed was horrible. Really run down. And it so reminded me of the Congress. And the Congress has the lady from The Princess Bride in it. I can't think of her name.
The Princess Bride.
You've seen The Princess Bride, right?
Yes.
Right. The young lady, Princess Buttercup, who unfortunately was in never enough movies because she turned a lot of them down or whatever. She was in
High Standards.
Unbreakable. She was in Unbreakable.
I like that movie, Unbreakable.
It's a good movie, yeah. And she's been in some other things like House of Cards, I think. But she was
Netflix original TV series.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
Me either.
But I'm not in. I mean, I love politics, but I'm not into theoretical politics so much as real politics.
Right.
But she was in The Congress. It is an amazing movie. It's very much like that episode.
That's not so much a theatrical, theoretical problem as it is on the rise with, the gaming cultural. People go into gaming because it's an escape from reality. They escape their problems. They go and they play World of Warcraft and they play these MMOs to escape reality and go to this land. And especially with the rise of virtual reality, people can just put on these headsets and dive into this whole new virtual reality that's separate from where they are now.
Right, Ready Player One.
Yeah, Ready Player One explores this reality of, where that's, higher technology, and where technology advances, people can just leave where they are, in the ghetto or, lesser, desired circumstances, and they can escape from all that into this whole new reality where, they're equals with everyone else, and
Right.
like the movie Congress,
The Congress.
The Congress, and that this episode, it's a very long.
I'll show you that movie. It's a good movie.
We should watch that.
That's
good.
We'll I have it on
add it to the list of the movies that you need to educate me on. Higher theatrical. You told me about that.
Yeah,
movie education.
You are so inexperienced with movies.
The ingenue. Shoot, so we have characters like Arbitan and the Vors. Yartek is the leader of the Vors, and Arbitan is the leader of this race. I don't know if they ever mentioned the name of the race, but he had this daughter, Sabitha. And she had this lover, Altos, and his friend Ephraim was the guard of this one place. Ephraim.
Ephraim. It's an anagram for prime.
And then we traveled to the place Morphos, and they had the Morphons, and I really like that episode because the climax was Barbara. She really got to shine, and she combated this Morphos. She's really the savior of the whole group of companions because they're all brainwashed, and she alone withstood the brainwashing, and she smashed all these.
In this entire serial, Barbara really comes into her own.
She shines.
She does. She comes into her own in the second episode where she alone does not see the illusion. She comes into her own in the third episode when she goes into the vines, into the temple, and sees it. And in the fourth episode where she's the one who ends up confronting the trapper, who eventually tries to kill him, but she's the last one confronting him.
Visor,
Visor, yeah. She really, Ian has come into his own already, and Susan will eventually in the Censorites. But here, and in the next serial, The Aztecs, Barbara really, really, really comes into her own in every episode and in the full serial. Here and in The Aztecs.
I absolutely love that. We were talking about the nature of serials and how each episode gives the serial long episodes give room to develop characters, and then the vignette, each individual episode develops its own story, and it really lets these characters shine as they develop character and their independent personalities, and I really love how we got to explore Barbara's independence, and she really came into her own and shined as her character, and it showed her strengths as she.
And she's fantastic in the serial. And
I thoroughly enjoyed it. In the next serial, the Mayan.
The Aztecs.
The Aztecs.
Got the big notebook here. Yeah. The next serial, The Aztecs. 4 episodes, so he'll be drinking wine, I'll be drinking hopefully vodka, and only 4 episodes. But yeah, in here and in there, Barbara is the shining light of it all. Really good.
And so speaking of each individual episode's story arc, and the Snow of Terror, we had the companions sort of dealing with Visor and his trickery, and they found their place. They found their way into this cave, and they ran into the ice soldiers.
Ice soldiers.
The ice soldiers, and that is
not
really,
ice warriors.
Yeah, what's the difference?
You said ice warriors. Okay,
I did, and you told me to remind you to explain the difference.
Ice soldiers are the okay. Have you seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
That's the one with the alien skull?
No.
Which is the Ark of the Covenant?
Skull. Yeah, this is the no. Last Crusade is the one with the Holy Grail.
Right, and the Nazis and the Grail.
You have the one Knight Templar.
They have Sean Connery.
The Holy Grail. Right, Sean Connery.
Yeah.
All right. That is the same as the ice soldiers here. They're defending their key in the same, frozen state. Okay.
Yeah, and then they thaw out.
Right, that's ice soldiers. Ice warriors are a race of beings on Mars. Specifically on Mars. We'll get to them in the second Doctor. They are very, very, very warrioristic, militaristic, and they very, very much always want to fight and combat. and the doctor deals with them. But that's Ice Warriors is different than the Ice Soldiers.
Yeah, but for each of them, their nature is to protect this thing. And
Ice Warriors is not necessarily to protect.
Right, the Ice Soldiers are protecting the key, and then the Ice Warriors are just fighting people.
Well, yeah, they're on Mars. It's
so there's a difference. Story. Very,
And they show up in classic Doctor Who many times, and they even show up in the modern stuff as frozen in ice in various places.
So they're reoccurring.
Oh yeah, they are reoccurring characters.
So the Ice Warriors reoccur. Do the Ice Soldiers ever make a?
No.
But they do come back to the keys. You said the key of knowledge or something.
They only come back to the keys in terms of the key of time.
Right, because the Doctor took one of the keys with him. Is that the key of time, or is that?
No.
Does that ever come up?
The Keys of Marinus have nothing to do with the key of time.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Except insofar it is a presage to the format for the Key of Time.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's no connection directly between the two, except this is the format and we'll expand it into such.
Very cool.
Yeah. But Ice Warriors are all throughout Doctor Who. And sometimes they're good guys, but mostly they're bad guys.
Okay. So. Alright, so going on to the serial of different episodes, we have the Sentence of Death, which was the fourth or fifth episode.
Fifth episode.
Fifth episode with the Tribunal, and you talked about how that's influenced by, first of all, it's influenced by Jewish culture. They had the headdresses and the robes, but it's also their whole court system was influenced by European court, and they had the one person standing.
Well, yeah, I just noticed that the headdresses and the long deals, very Jewish. I mean, no big deal. It is what it is.
They also had a court system that's like, guilty before proven innocent.
And that's very anti-Western culture. In America, innocent till proven guilty, and this guilty till proven innocent. And, it was what it was. And
it's cool because you have, Western culture sort of vision of sci-fi, and then you had the European vision of sci-fi, and they all had their different cultures influence their vision of the future. And how
European is still Western, excepting at the time East European, which was Soviet, and this would fall under the Soviet system.
Okay.
The Soviet system would be a lot more guilty to proven innocent. Very, very. We're talking 1970s. And remember the Soviet Union? No, it's the 60s. Yeah, 64. And the Soviet Union lasted until 1989.
Until the Cold War, until it sort of
the Cold War fell apart, and the Soviet Union fell apart in the late 80s, early 90s. But yeah, very much. Guilty to proven innocent would be a Soviet trait.
And these sci-fi sort of things had influences from these different cultures. And it's really cool how that all plays, and these show productions and the writers sort of take influences from different cultures as they develop their vision of what the future may look like in these different sci-fi type of cultures. They take influence from Jewish culture with the headdresses and the court systems.
That's one thing, but most of it was from that. But, I wasn't alive in 64 yet. I was born in 68. But we'll get there soon enough in the second Doctor.
Yeah. So that's cool. Also going on, we had, I had a production question they had, Armitage gave the companions these space travel devices which they wore on their wrists. What were those called?
Oh yeah, I was going to tell you about that.
The black screens is what you're going to tell me?
They walk in front of the black screen and disappear. Yeah. Very much a precursor to the blue screen, the green screen. But that's very similar to what the the time cops wear. They're time cops, time watch.
Time bandits?
No, not Time Bandits is a Terry Gilliam film. Love Time Bandits. Terry Gilliam was my favorite director.
It's really sad ending.
Have you seen Don Marinus?
I have. No, it's made me depressed. It ended with the microwave and the thing.
They turned. They turned to hermit
That's
crabs.
such a sad ending.
No, it's a perfect ending. Not all endings have to be good. I love Terry Gilliam.
It's still sad.
Oh my gosh, he's so old in his current movie. You know about it?
What's
the man who killed Don Quixote?
Yeah, Don Quixote. I don't know the man who killed Don.
Okay, Terry Gilliam spent decades trying to make this film, and he made this film, and now the French courts have given the film to the producer as opposed to the director.
Huh.
So the producer owns the film, and it's only ever been shown at like Cannes, and that's it. And so Terry Gilliam has no ability to release a film in the United States, and I've seen all of his films except Jabberwocky in the theater. I don't know if I'll be able to see this one. It's insane. It's crazy. But it has the guy who played the bad guy in Star Wars, the current Star Wars crap.
Oh yeah. Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Kylo Ren. It has him as the sidekick for Don Quixote, and it has the guy who played the protagonist in Brazil. What is his name? Brazil's my favorite movie of all time. I love Brazil. Not the best movie of all time, but it's my favorite movie of all time. Anyway, he plays the protagonist, Don Quixote. And Kylo Ren is his sidekick. And unfortunately, it may not be shown in this country, which upsets me because I've driven 450 miles to see one of his movies in the theater before. Thailand was only shown in Austin. And only 2 or 3 showings, and I had to drive down there to see it. Oh my gosh, what was his name? Dang nabbit, I can't think of it. Anyway.
We'll come back.
Yeah, the actor from Brazil, and who was also in the Adventures of Baron Munchausen, and who was shown up again in The Brothers Grimm. He has a lot of directors have specific working relationships with certain actors, and Terry Gilliam has a working relationship with this particular actor. But anyway, he was a bad guy in one of the Bond films.
Bond, James.
Yeah.
Is that a Ewan McGregor? No. Sorry.
I love Ian McGregor. He was awesome in Shallow Grave, especially.
You know they're making a Winnie the Pooh movie with Ewan McGregor live
action? I'm so excited. My wife so wants to see that. Me called, wait, you or your wife? You don't have a wife.
No, I have a girlfriend, but I want to see the Winnie the Pooh movie, the live action with Ewan McGregor.
My wife wants to see that. I do want to see that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, called Peter Robbins or
Peter Robbins, Christopher Robbins, because he's the character. But I was thinking of who played James Bond when I was growing up? Pierce Brosnan. Is that the James Bond villain you're thinking of? One of the Pierce Brosnan?
Okay, maybe, but
you're thinking of like Sean Connery.
Right. When I was growing up, it was Sean Connery. I'm so much older than you are. You're 22, right?
22, and between Sean
49,
Connery,
27 years.
Yeah, between Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan, we have License to Kill. Who is that guy?
Wait. Roger Moore.
Does.
We have Roger Moore. We have the Australian. I forget his name. There's an Australian guy who was in there for one movie. One movie. Inner Majesty Secret Service. Just one. And Lazenby.
I don't know.
He was there for one movie. And then there was somebody else.
I feel like License to Kill was more of a series than movies. It had several movies. I remember a marathon. But I grew up with Pierce Brosnan, and he's James Bond to me because I grew up with him. He's very over the top, super spy, super villain, son, death ray type of, really cool.
There's just such a gap here. That's the whole point. And the whole point of this is that lay the information to the next generation. But there's such a gap. Oh my gosh, Connery is
shaken, not stirred.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no shaving him now.
Yes. You created this? It was necessary at the time. Gosh. No, Highlander 2. Have you seen Highlander?
I've seen Highlander and Highlander 2. I've seen both of them. Yeah.
Right. I
liked the first one. The second one was very woo.
Boy.
I even saw the animated series. I thought it was great.
Okay. It is good. It's better than 2 or 3 or 4, but
good as they made 4 of those movies.
There's 5.
5 Highlanders? 5. I saw the first 2. I don't even know they made the last.
Okay, the fourth one is it's basically Highlander Generations, where he hands it off to the next generation, and it's his cousin.
There may be only one.
The cousin, the guy from the TV show.
I don't even know.
Oh, there's a crappy TV show.
I remember the first 2 and then the animated series, and that's as far as I got.
Okay, you're lucky. Ignore the animated series. Anyway, but
I like the animated.
I love Connery. He's the only man. If you sleep with him, that you're not less of a man, you're more of a man for having slept with him. Sean Connery's amazing. Love him. Anyway, he is the James Bond. How the hell did we get on this?
We got super off topic.
Alright,
one thing leads to another.
Topic?
I don't even know. We were talking about the tribunal and different cultural influences with the cults, the court system.
Yeah, it's a 5th episode, right?
Oh yeah. The sentence of death, and then we had the last episode, 6th episode. The Keys of Marinus, and we were talking about black screens, which was a precursor to blue and green screens.
Well, yeah,
they went off camera to the black screens so they could use their time dials to travel.
Okay. Oh yeah, the time dials. Okay, there's the time police, the time cops later on. This is coming to knowledge during Tom Baker's era, but then much later during Torchwood, in the current century, where there are the time cops who use those little deals, and Captain Jack Harkness, who has one of those. You'll love Captain Jack. He's awesome.
Okay.
You'll love him. He's awesome.
Is that during the War Doctor with the trench coat?
That's after that.
After the War.
Okay, starting with Eccleston. They're at bottom middle in the there you go, Eccleston. Starting with him, but also going with Tennant, and does it go into Matt Smith? Maybe.
Matt Smith, the
little one doctor, but he's got one of those. Anyway, that method of time travel is presaged here and then followed through later on.
Yeah, it's. I thought it was space travel, but not time travel.
Yeah, space travel, but not time travel.
Right.
Later on, it's also time travel.
Oh, yeah. So it's like a miniature TARDIS just on your wrist.
Kind of. It's like the economy way of flying. It's a cheap, nasty way of getting somewhere, but it's not fun.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were also off topic in there while we were watching the serial. We got into Donnie Darko and the Jackalopes, the Hopperdingers. What was that all about?
Exactly. The what are they called? The
Jackalopes.
The Vords.
The Vords were the antagonists.
The Vords look like the Donnie Darko pukas. You know what a puka is?
No.
Okay, a puka. It's an Irish spirit that can haunt someone and can affect their life. And the best movie for a puka is Harvey with Clark Gable? Corey Grant? Anyway, Harvey is fantastic. But there's a modern version called Donnie Darko where they have a puka. And that one's much darker than Harvey. And but anyway, all these creatures in here look like the Donnie Darko pukas with the whole headdress and black suits.
But they're people in the scuba diving gear because of the acid ocean, and they have this subterranean.
Yeah, but they look like pukas.
They look like pukas because the headdresses.
Right. The pukas, well, at least in Donnie Darko and Harvey, are rabbit-esque.
Hopperdingers and
creatures,
jackalopes.
Right. Who can mess with people. They're just... they're just... negative influences on our lives.
Yeah, they only serve to be the antagonists for the greater story.
Exactly.
Protagonists, they create conflict in stories. It makes it interesting.
Yeah, essentially. They're like the sand in the skin, under the toenail. Agitation, yeah. They're bad, but in a weird way. What other questions do you have?
That about covers it. Any closing thoughts? We went over all 6 episodes, the antagonists, the protagonists, all the characters, all my questions. Any closing thoughts for you, Hatter? Went over production with the costumes and the different, black screens and all. All the questions I had, even the off-topic ones.
But the production value was amazing. They're continuing from Marco Polo. Doctor Who has been given a larger budget and it's phenomenal. I'm so glad this serial will exist. Yeah, I hate the fact that others, including Marco Polo, were deleted, but at least this one exists. Mm-hmm. It looks beautiful and it's phenomenal, and we will see it again in 14 seasons as the Key of Time. Right. Where there's 6 keys. Mm-hmm. Right. And the Doctor and Romana 1 are given the quest to seek out all the keys by... What is he called?
That dude.
No. He's got a name, and it's
14 serials or seasons?
It's 14 seasons on. 1978, Yeah. But I can't think of his name. But anyway, they're given the quest to find that, and this is a great precursor to that. And this is a great example of a story that goes through multiple parts really rapidly, with a really good production budget. And later on, when we watch Time and Relative Dimensions in Space, we will see that from the documentary point of view,
Mm-hmm. Right. So we talked production value. It's very cool that Doctor Who, its rise in success got this expanded budget because it really allowed them the flexibility to expound upon these, serials, and they have several episodes to explore this story, and it really allowed characters to have development, and even these temporary characters, protagonists, and then the temporary antagonists, really got to explore them, and on the expanded budget with the vignettes, it allowed each individual episode to have its own scenery and its own budget and its own set. And it's really quite beautiful to watch. Alright, well that covers our notes for this evening. Hatter, and any closing thoughts? Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you next week. Hopefully for the Aztecs.
The Aztecs?
Mm-hmm.
Temple of Doom or something? That's Indiana Jones. Thank you again for joining us. See you next week.